stared at my phone and froze. Her fitness tracker showed she was walking around at 2 a.m., all alone, or so I thought. My stomach sank. The woman I loved was sneaking out, and the numbers didn't lie. I had never paid much attention to fitness trackers, but Lily loved hers. One morning, I picked up her phone to check messages when the tracker app popped up. My heart stopped. The screen showed steps taken at 2:13 a.m., then again at 2:47 a.m., and another at 3:10 a.m. I rubbed my eyes, thinking it was a glitch. But the pattern was clear. Someone was walking around in the middle of the night. I scrolled through past days, and it was happening for weeks. I didn't want to believe it. Maybe she was sleepwalking or going to the kitchen. But then I remembered the nights she said she was staying late at a friend's. I had thought nothing of it. Now, every late-night excuse felt like a lie. I felt my stomach twist. My mind ran through every conversation, every laugh, every time she said, "Trust me." Was she lying? Why would she lie? And to whom? I sat on the edge of my bed, phone in hand, staring at the screen. The tracker showed her walking route, a short path that led out of our apartment building and down the street. It was impossible to misinterpret. The fear settled like ice in my chest. I didn't know what to do first. Confront her, follow her, or just disappear. I felt trapped in a nightmare that hadn't started with me at all. The next morning, I tried to act normal. Lily greeted me with a smile, but every movement, every word felt suspicious. I didn't want to accuse her yet. Maybe it's nothing, I told myself. But deep down, I knew the tracker didn't lie. Every time she laughed or said she stayed late with friends, I replayed it in my head. I wanted to trust her, but my gut screamed otherwise. I spent the day checking her schedule, watching her subtly. I noticed her checking her phone in secret and smiling at messages that she quickly hid. A tiny part of me wanted to believe it was innocent. Maybe work emails, maybe a surprise for me. But my heart refused. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. The tracker data burned in my mind. I couldn't sleep. I didn't know if I should confront her or wait for proof. Curiosity and fear gnawed at me. One night, I decided to follow the tracker's trail. I put on my coat, grabbed my bike, and waited until she said she was working late at a friend's. The streets were quiet, damp with England's usual mist. I cycled slowly, keeping her apartment in sight. At first, it seemed like a simple walk, but then I saw her meet a man under a street lamp. They hugged and walked into a nearby park. My chest tightened. I couldn't believe it. My mind spun with questions. Who was he? How long had this been happening? And why was she hiding it from me? I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. I needed proof before confronting her, but every step she took with him felt like a punch in the gut. The next day, I tried to act calm. When Lily came back, I casually asked, "Where were you last night?" She hesitated. "Oh, just a friend's," she said. But her eyes flickered, a subtle crack in her usual confidence. I didn't say more, but my mind was racing. By dinner, I couldn't hold it in. "Lily, I know about the walks," I said quietly. Her fork paused midair. She looked at me, eyes wide. I held her gaze. "The tracker, it shows you out at night, alone, or with someone." She looked down, silent. I felt my heart hammering, unsure if relief or heartbreak would hit first. Silence stretched for what felt like an eternity. Finally, she spoke. "Alex, I didn't want you to find out this way," she whispered. She confessed to meeting someone, Tommy Reed, during the late-night walks. She said it started innocently, talking after work, but it became more. I felt like the floor had disappeared under me. Every laugh, every "I love you," every hug suddenly felt hollow. I tried to control my anger, but tears welled up. I couldn't believe I had been blind for so long, yet I had proof now. The tracker didn't lie. My mind raced with thoughts of what to do next. Break up, confront him, call Detective Harper. The betrayal was too real to ignore. My world felt shattered, and I didn't know how to pick up the pieces. I sat in silence after Lily confessed. My mind was spinning, heart aching. I didn't know what to do first. Should I leave her apartment, call someone, or demand answers? I felt betrayed, but part of me wanted to understand why. "Why, Lily?" I asked quietly. She looked down, ashamed. "I don't know. It just happened. I couldn't make sense of it. I needed air, so I grabbed my coat and stepped outside into the cold English night, trying to breathe, trying to think clearly. I decided I needed proof beyond the tracker. If I confronted her again without concrete evidence, she could deny everything. I began noting the dates, times, and locations the tracker showed. I even started discreetly following her from a distance. The city felt different at night, quiet, misty, and full of secrets. Every step she took, every text she sent, became a clue. I felt like a detective in my own life, chasing something I wished I hadn't discovered. One night, I saw him, the man she had been meeting, Tommy Reed. He leaned casually against a wall, waiting. When Lily appeared, they hugged and whispered. My chest tightened, and my hands shook. I didn't know him, but he had invaded my life. I wanted to yell, to run, to do something, but I stayed hidden, watching. The feeling of betrayal was worse seeing it in person. I realized this wasn't just about Lily anymore. It was about the choices we make, the lies we tell, and the people we let into our lives. I couldn't handle it alone. I called my sister Sophie and met her at a small cafe. I told her everything: the tracker, the late-night walks, the meeting with Tommy. She listened quietly, then said, "You need to decide what's worth fighting for, Alex, but don't do anything reckless." Her words made sense. I felt a little relief talking to someone who believed me, but my anger and hurt didn't disappear. It was only the beginning of a long, painful journey. I knew I had to face him eventually. One evening, I waited near the park where they met. When Tommy appeared, I stepped forward. "Who are you to her?" I demanded. He laughed, calm and arrogant, and said, "Who am I? Just someone she likes spending time with." I felt rage rise in me, but I controlled it. I didn't hit him, didn't yell. I only stared, silently telling him he had no idea what he had done to my life. The night was tense, cold, and unforgiving. After the confrontation with Tommy, I felt a mix of relief and rage. I knew I couldn't just react blindly. I needed a plan. I spent the next few days reviewing the tracker data, noting patterns, and figuring out when Lily would leave the apartment at night. Each step felt calculated, like a chess game. I hated the situation, but I had to control it, or I would lose everything. One evening, the tracker showed her leaving at 1:45 a.m. I followed her silently through the foggy streets. She didn't go far, just to a quiet cafe that should have been closed. I hid behind a wall, my heart pounding. There she was, meeting Tommy again. This time, it was clearer. They weren't just talking, they were holding hands. The betrayal burned inside me, hotter than before. I realized that watching this would only hurt me more, but I couldn't stop. I couldn't go through this alone. I contacted Detective Harper, explaining the situation and showing the tracker data. Harper was calm but serious. "You have solid evidence," he said, "but be careful. People act unpredictably when confronted." I felt slightly safer knowing a professional was aware of the situation, but the thought of what I would face when confronting Lily still made my stomach twist. Back at the apartment, everything felt heavier. Lily acted normal, smiling and chatting like nothing had happened. I couldn't look at her without remembering the tracker, the nights, and Tommy. Every small gesture seemed suspicious. I wanted to scream, but I stayed quiet. The apartment felt like a cage, and each room held memories that now seemed like lies. I wondered if love was enough to survive this. One rainy evening, Lily came to me, tearful and quiet. "Alex, I need to tell you everything," she whispered. She admitted the full truth about Tommy, how it started, why she lied, and that she hadn't planned to hurt me. I listened silently, my mind racing. Part of me wanted to forgive her. Part of me wanted to leave forever. Her confession opened a small window for honesty, but it didn't erase the betrayal. The storm outside mirrored the chaos inside me. After Lily's confession, I tried to act normal. We went out for dinner, laughed at small jokes, and pretended everything was fine. But inside, I felt broken. Every glance at her phone, every late-night message made my stomach churn. I wanted to trust her, but the tracker haunted me. Sleep became impossible, and the city streets felt emptier when I walked alone, thinking about what I had learned. Despite my efforts to move on, the tracker continued revealing late-night activity. One night, I saw her leave at 2:05 a.m. again. My heart sank. I followed discreetly, hiding in the shadows. She met Tommy near a bridge over the Thames. This time, it wasn't just a hug. They were laughing, leaning close. I wanted to stop them, shout anything, but I stayed hidden. The tracker had become my only way of knowing the truth. I called Sophie, desperate. "You can't keep doing this, Alex," she said firmly. "You're watching her like a shadow, and it's eating you alive. Decide what you want. Fight, leave, or move on. But don't let this destroy you." Her words stung. She was right. I had been consumed by anger and suspicion. But walking away felt impossible. I needed answers, and the tracker had them. I finally decided to confront them together. I arrived at the cafe where they often met. Tommy looked surprised when I walked in. "We need to talk," I said, voice steady. Lily's face went pale. I held up my phone, showing the tracker data. Tommy's confident smile faltered. This was the proof I had needed, and now there was no hiding. The air felt thick, like the moment before a storm breaks. After the confrontation, everything changed. Lily and I didn't speak much that night. I returned to my apartment, exhausted. The tracker no longer mattered. I had seen everything. I realized that trust was broken, and rebuilding it wouldn't be easy. Tommy disappeared from our lives, but the memories lingered. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering if love could survive betrayal or if some cracks were too deep to fix. Sleep had become impossible. I lay awake for hours, replaying every detail: the tracker data, Lily's lies, Tommy's smirk. I felt drained, angry, and heartbroken all at once. The city outside seemed quiet, almost mocking me. I didn't know if I should confront her again or try to move on. Every time my phone buzzed, my heart jumped. Trust felt impossible, yet letting go seemed unbearable. Despite everything, some small moments reminded me of why I loved her. We shared a quiet dinner, a laugh, or a memory from our past. It didn't erase the betrayal, but it made me question if forgiveness was possible. My heart wavered between anger and longing. I realized that love and pain were tangled together in ways I didn't understand. Detective Harper called, saying he wanted to discuss the situation further. I met him in his office, nervous. "You have clear evidence," he said, "but be careful. Sometimes people act unpredictably when cornered." I realized this wasn't just personnel anymore. It could have legal consequences. The betrayal had expanded beyond my emotions. It was now a matter of truth, proof, and consequences. One evening, while checking the tracker for patterns, I noticed something unusual. Lily had made several late-night trips to places I didn't recognize. My curiosity and fear spiked. Could there be more secrets? I decided to investigate quietly, following her without her knowledge. Each step felt heavier than the last. The web of lies was deeper than I had imagined. I finally confronted her about the mysterious late-night trips. She hesitated, then admitted she had been helping someone in secret, a friend in trouble. The revelation shocked me. It wasn't Tommy this time. It was someone else entirely. I felt a mix of relief and renewed doubt. How many other secrets had she kept? I realized that love and trust were fragile, and even the smallest lies could fracture a relationship. After the revelation about Lily's secret friend, I felt conflicted. Part of me wanted to forgive her. Part of me couldn't forget Tommy or the tracker's late-night evidence. Every time I looked at her, I felt a twinge of doubt. Trust had become fragile. Like glass, I realized that moving forward would require honesty from both of us and a willingness to confront the past, no matter how painful. We decided to try to rebuild what had been broken. Small steps, talking openly, sharing plans, and checking in honestly. The tracker, once a source of betrayal, became a tool to rebuild trust. But every step was cautious. I still felt wary of sudden movements or unexplained absences. Rebuilding love after betrayal was exhausting, but I wanted to try, even if it meant risking heartbreak again. One evening, we revisited the cafe where Lily met Tommy. I didn't confront him. There was no need. Seeing the place reminded me of what had happened and how far we had come. Lily held my hand, and I realized I could feel a small spark of trust again. The past couldn't be erased, but it didn't have to control our future. I felt a cautious sense of closure. Months later, life felt different. The tracker was no longer a tool of suspicion, but a reminder of honesty. We shared moments without fear, laughed without thinking about secrets. The city street, once ominous and foggy, now felt safe and familiar. I realized that relationships weren't perfect, but trust, when rebuilt, could grow stronger than before. I looked at the tracker one last time. No more late-night secrets, no more betrayal. I put the phone down and held Lily's hand. We had survived lies, secrets, and heartbreak. The journey had been painful, but we were stronger now, honest, open, and ready for the future. The city stretched before us, full of possibility. I realized that trust could be rebuilt, and love could survive even the darkest nights.